Hey, what's up? This is Silas. This video I'm going to be talking about the Las Vegas shooting and some thoughts around it. I'm currently in Nairobi, Kenya, and due to certain circumstances, I'm splitting time between Nairobi and the United States of America. But I lived most of my life in the United States of America. Now, I'd been there for a long time. I think it was about 13 years straight, from when I was 10 to about 20 something. But that was back in 2007 around then, and something happened in my life where a few things came together and I started thinking about both things in my childhood and things that were happening in the United States of America. And one of the main things that I can recall right now was the gun situation. I remember this one story of a friend of mine. We played football together at the university, at the school that I went to, and it's a university now, it was a college back then. But it was a small college, small school in the countryside of West Virginia, and he came from the inner city of Washington, D.C., the capital of the country. And some altercation happened that involved him getting shot and killed. When people in the school, people at the university asked, will they find the person? How are they going to do this? My friend was shot early in the morning, coming back from a club. This is what the news that I found out. Some of the people from the inner city in the DC area, some of the people more familiar with this kind of gang violence, told them, like, no, it's probably not going to happen. I started thinking, like, why wouldn't it? Well, because it's probably multiple deaths on that day, multiple shootings on that day, unmarked weapons, gang involvement, overworked police department, and a few other things coming together where people in West Virginia, people in the small town, small country area, couldn't understand how somebody could go get shot in the city and they not find out who did that, who shot that person. Because in some cases, these houses in West Virginia, pretty much every house had a gun. They'd grow up with guns. They'd grow up with rifles. They'd grow up with pistols. They'd go out shooting with their parents. There was these situations on weekends where you'd go to somebody's balcony and just be hanging out. And I guess in the city, people were like, oh, do you guys want to maybe go and play some putt-putt, such miniature golf or something? Here, they'd be like, hey, you guys want, it's hunting season. Do you guys want to go shoot? I remember there this one time, went on a friend's balcony and they just had this trash bag out there. I went and looked in the trash bag and it was the head of a deer that they had hunted. They were just waiting for the flesh to slow off so they can hang it up as a mount. And this was just something, guns were part of the culture. And I remember at that time just thinking, like, how dangerous must the United States of America be that people get shot all the time, people get shot this way. And even at that time I was grappling with it being in West Virginia, because in West Virginia, they didn't have these shootings regularly. I asked one of the police officers, I was down at one of those gas station convenience stores, restaurant type places. It was Sheets. I think it was down at Sheets. If you guys are ever in the Ohio Valley County area, definitely check out Sheets. It's got some really, really decent food. Or maybe I was just young and the college food type thing. Anyway, the story asked him, okay, when was the last time somebody was shot here? Like, domestic violence or just gun violence occurred. And the cop thought, and he told me something like 2 years, it had taken that long for that to happen, even though everyone had guns. People were familiar with guns. So it's not necessarily the existence of guns in the United States of America that is the main problem. It's what leads people to do actions like what just happened in Las Vegas, with right now 58 people dead, I think 400 injured, it might be 200, sorry if I'm getting that wrong. I'll leave links to some stories, of course, below. And you have that situation where what leads somebody to get to this point? What leads people to get to that point where they do this? Even if you talk about, okay, yes, there's situations when, I'm just going to talk about some of the annoying situations that happen after something like this happens. I personally try to take a 24-hour waiting period between something happening and me going out and definitely making a video. I know, like, or making statements on it or certain observations. I'll discuss with friends and try to parse it out, but I'll still, like, wait. You got to wait for information coming out. Some of the annoying stuff, of course, you hear is you see ISIS and you see this Melbourne Antifa, which might be a troll account, but you see people like ISIS and Antifa coming out and talking about, yes, we're the ones taking credit for this. And that just shows how evil these people are. So I'm not saying everybody who's Muslim, because definitely everybody who's not Muslim is not ISIS. I'm not saying everybody who's on the left is an Antifa. But there is something about these two groups that if something like this horrible happens, and they claim attention, or they claim this is something that we did, you don't really jump and say, okay, no, maybe that's completely fake. You kind of wait and say, okay, that might actually be a thing, because these people are horrible, horrible people. The ideas they espouse are horrible, horrible things. And what does it get for certain people with a certain mindset to enter that and do this? Then you have the left-right violence, people talking about, oh, he was targeting this group because it was a Trump event, because country music fans are probably going to be Trump supporters. There's glorification of this one guy that was with a beer can flicking off the shooter, wherever he was. I don't know if that's really the bravest thing to do. I don't know if he was drunk doing that. I probably wouldn't have done that. I don't know what I would have done in that situation. But there's just a lot going on with this story. I saw this one story with CBS reporter, or CBS, not reporter, but an executive in the company CBS, who tweeted something, or she posted something in her social media saying she didn't really care that much, she didn't really feel that bad about the people because they're on the left. She's on the left and they're probably Trump supporters. And then she got fired, and then that goes back to the whole thing of me thinking like, okay, yes, anybody should fire anyone for any reason. Now, if they're going to do it, I'd rather it be consistent that way. So somebody talking bad about people on the left, they get fired. Somebody talking bad about people on the right, they get fired. But that made me think about how many things people say in situations like this. I try to watch what I say more, not because I think it'll get out to people, but just because, like, why do people just say these small, snappy things where they're like, oh yeah, those are people I don't like, so it's okay that they died in this gruesome way, or this bad thing happened to them, so they kind of asked for it, even without the actual connections and attachments to why that happens. So now let's get back to the actual thing. I've tried to see some information. I've just gotten up. I'm going to see if I can get more actual details. And with this, it's crazy what happens with something like this. They go around and there's people reporting, there's people on online, amateurs going out, and I wouldn't say amateurs, because these people are actually almost more professional than the actual professionals to this point in their ability, almost more effective than the actual quote-unquote professionals at actually getting information. People siphoning through, and that's the thing right now with this information age that we have now. If you do something, it's out there. This man doesn't really seem to be somebody who's hiding. I'm going to leave something with there's this Body Language YouTube channel I watch, where he's breaking down the interview of the guy's brother. I'll put down some other stories, but back to the point. Information comes up with these things. You see what's happening with these people, and this person doesn't seem to be somebody who is really that clandestinely hiding. This is something that can be and will be very instructive to why he did this, how he obtained the guns that were already illegal. You see things like Hillary Clinton coming out, posting something about silencers, and I'm just wondering, like, why would somebody post that? I'm wondering, like, how sober was she posting this? I mean, why not? Why should you be surprised that Hillary Clinton would post something like that? Why should I be surprised that a CBS executive should say something like that when I've had people on both political ends who say other things about other people on other ends? I just thought when I first heard this is just a crazy person. And when it comes down to it, even when it goes to ISIS, even when it goes to Antifa, even when it goes to right-wing violence, even when it goes to all these situations, when it goes to a simple thing, somebody hitting their own kid, somebody killing hundreds of people, like trying to kill hundreds of people, like in this situation, where does it start from? Where is the beginning of this? Is it gun violence? Is it gun laws? Is it like political things? No, it's not this, because we are all involved in this. Most of you in America can go out and obtain a gun. Why don't you? Most of you can go and follow these groups. Why don't you? And in most situations you find it's because of their childhood. And this is one thing, I'll leave this video from Stefan Molyneux, and that's one thing that he's impressed me the most and helped me the most, I think, out of all his material, is his focus on peaceful parenting and how important it is. How people don't focus on the actual beginning of this. What gets somebody to be broken enough for them to do these things, to break other people? What leads to a mindset to do that? And that's one thing I just really enjoy about coming back to Nairobi, even though it's a little of an issue with just my life in general. But I get to come back and spend time with my nephew and just see his development and just see the process of that person. And all these people were kids once. What turned them from this, in general, pure child into these messes of human beings? What translates to somebody? What happens to happen in somebody's life to get them to that point where they think they can do that. Because I still want to hold in my I still want to hold this belief that everybody does things that they consider positive. So even if somebody tries to commit suicide, they consider that suicide more positive than living another day. So what would get somebody to the point where they think living another day, taking another breath, isn't as positive as ending it? What gets somebody to think just working these things out isn't as positive as ostensibly what this guy did? Get all these illegal guns, put himself in a room, maybe put a no disturb sign on the door, plan it out, sit in there, and then wait for this concert, and then just go along and start shooting these people. What gets somebody that broken to get to that point for them to do something like that? So, with that, I just want to add that yes, it's the biggest mass shooting in the United States of America. At the same point, I'm looking forward to coming back and reuniting with my friends and continuing the work I want to do there. Realize as Americans, some of you may not have really seen the country from outside, and I've had the experience of seeing certain terror attacks both in other countries and then, or let's say for example, seeing something that happened in here in Kenya and Westgate Mall and a few other ones where they're just being covered internationally. Then I've had the chance of seeing things from the outside that are happening in the United States of America that are covered from there. And just the perspective I think is good to have on this. Yes, it's the biggest mass shooting. There's people out there, oh, why does this always happen in America? People are trolling, and it's just like, you guys are idiots. It's not the time for that. But just the perspective thing, it's a horrible, horrific situation. I think that 24 hours thing, if you guys want to try it out, I don't know, it works for me. 24 hours before I actually go out and start making my mind out to this, try to get some information. But yeah, 58 people are dead now. The number is probably going to go higher. So many injuries, and realize that horrific things happen. And I think it's good to find out how these things start and how people get broken to fall into these horrible ideas and horrible situations, and get to do these evil things. And I think just throwing out quick and unresearched and unthought of talking points, political needs and ends, and personal stories and belief systems doesn't necessarily help anyone in this situation. So yeah, that's my video on this. Yeah, that's it. I'll try to get more information. If more information comes out pertinent to this, I might do another video, but I don't know. Okay, this is Silas saying goodbye. Bye.